he's coming up and describing today is media, how he lives it, how it's changing, and how it's being distributed. And it's quite unique, and I think it's fascinating. And it's getting back to the online gaming. The network needs to perform. So, Dan.
I was coming here from London yesterday, and the thing that struck me the most about what Jacob's just said is the amount of processing that we're going to need in order to move on to the next stage of entertainment. And for Jacob, it's gaming. For me, it's been television for the last 10 years. The amount of processing isn't just something that processors do, it's something that we do. Let me introduce you to Mike, who was also in my cabin. He is watching a film here on his laptop. He's enjoying a nice drink while playing a game of chess as well, because the film was obviously not quite enough for him. And I think we're just getting into the area now where we're starting to sort of multitask around entertainment. And the network has enabled us to move on from just a TV screen to things that are delivered to us simultaneously, as well as what broadcasters and program makers have put together for you to enjoy. So a network of anywhere between 5 and 15 megabits per second will quite happily deliver IPTV, it will deliver smart TV, it will deliver TV on demand. But we go out and we buy these rather large, beautiful screens, and we found that consumers probably don't want to take some of it up with their Twitter feed, or with what the weather's going to be doing tomorrow, or maybe with the character's Facebook page on the right-hand side. They pay a lot of money for that big screen, and quite frankly, the broadcasters have spent quite a bit of money putting the content up there for them to enjoy. So, why are TV executives at the moment particularly concerned about the way that the network is going to affect their business? The reason is because people are picking up these and looking at these at the same time as the television set. They're looking at their smartphones at the same time as their television set. So the eyeballs are not going towards the big screen we've spent all of our money on, it's going to the smaller screen where they're texting friends, or they're looking at Facebook, or doing a number of other things. Should we be concerned as broadcasters? Do we need to change? Well, we have been distracted from television for a very long time. A lot of people who watch TV will also be doing the ironing. They may be putting their makeup on. They may be doing lots of different things. So there's no reason to panic. We can multitask, and we've been multitasking since TV entered the home. But does anybody watch TV here with another screen in front of them? Okay. The gentleman in the red shirt, what might typically you be doing while you're watching television?
Reading.
Reading?
Or Twitter.
Twitter? Okay. Okay, reading, following Twitter. Who else? Somebody over here had another screen. Who else has been watching another screen while they've been watching television? Yes, madam. What do you do? Tweeting, Facebook, so communication. That's more and more and more common. In fact, a survey out earlier this year suggests that 60 to 80% of Americans are doing something with a second screen while they watch TV. Almost half of them have a smartphone in front of them while they watch TV. And that's not just in case a call comes in. They're actively using that screen while they're watching TV. So who owns that second screen? Who decides what's on it? Who's going to try and persuade you to go to something on that second screen while you're watching the first one? There's a company in America called Vigil, which actually gives you credits for watching TV, broadcast TV. That sounds like a great idea. You get vouchers and you can buy stuff just for watching TV. They also push a little bit of content that might be relevant to what you're watching. They're going to make just over $10 million this year. And they started less than 3 years ago with one form of number. CBS, an American network, will make the same amount of money off their second screen offering in the space of 4 hours. And they did it, it's a special 4 hours, I grant you, but it was during the Super Bowl 2013, because $10 million is the amount of money that CBS made just by selling advertising. Not around the coverage of the Super Bowl, but around what they pushed to people's smartphones and their tablets while they watched the Super Bowl. So we know that the numbers are there, and we know that it works on a business level. But what can we do with it? What can we actually do with the second screen? Quite a bit, according to the guy who was sitting in my cabin on the way over. If he could play chess while he's watching something, then I reckon it's a fair bet that people will be able to cope with a little bit more than we may have traditionally expected from what might otherwise be regarded as a distraction. And here's an example that the programme I work on, Click, a TV show on BBC, covered a short while ago.
But not all two-screen viewing involves distracting viewers from the action. Sportsman Andy Good wants to plant our gaze firmly back on the telly. His Star Player app gets us interacting with our second screen only when there's a break in proceedings. So, in a football game, tens of thousands of players compete for points or even match tickets by predicting the outcome of, say, a free kick or a corner. But it's not a feed or a machine that decides when to set the questions.
A lot of people think that Star Player takes its data from feeds, but actually it's manually operated. Football isn't about what's going to happen in half an hour or even 5 minutes. It's about what happens in the next few seconds. So there is someone, a football fan, watching a feed of the match and then deciding when to ask questions, what the resolution to those questions is, how to pace the game, and delivering that whole experience to our Star Player players. The data feed can't watch the stream of the broadcast and make a judgment on what the player is going to do. Because if you've watched football your whole life, then you can, because you can spot the signs. That means he's going to do this or that, and then you can determine what operation you feed in.
So the second app isn't necessarily automatic. It involves the human touch, and that's really important, but it also has to be concurrent with what people are watching, so that they integrate what they're looking at on the first screen, terribly important to broadcasters, with what they've got in their hand on the second screen. And that means a change in production methods, and the broadcasters know what's coming next. Unlike a live event, the broadcasters and the programme makers know what's in the programme, or they really should do by the time it gets to broadcast. So this is the latest app from TV3. It's Ireland's largest commercial broadcaster, and they released this 2 weeks ago. It's called Show Pal, and it just basically pushes information about what you're watching to your tablet. So here may be some items that the person on the television is wearing. You might be interested in buying those. There's a little bit of a Twitter feed from the presenter here. Here's a chance to have your say about whatever they're talking about. Downton Abbey, a very popular TV drama made in the UK. Over here, we've got a little bit about the characters, a little bit about, again, a Twitter feed and a poll. And that's quite interesting because the poll gives us real-time responses from the audience, which is incredibly valuable to get some feedback from the audience immediately the moment that they see something. Because television and filmmaking and anything that you put audiovisual on the web is fundamentally about making people care. It's about raising emotion. And we need to know from you what you feel about something when you see it. Not 20 minutes later, or in a forum that we decide to bring people together to tell us, what do you think about that? Well, you know, I thought there's very interesting, but we'd love to know exactly what you feel you're doing at the time it goes out. So, because we know what's going to go out, we can prepare it. That adds to costs, but it's extremely sellable. Everything that goes out onto the second screen, we know the profile of the person who's accessed it. Before, we relied on something in the UK called Radar, which had 7,000 people across the UK with little black boxes on the top of their TV, which would tell us which TV channel they had on. Not whether they were watching TV, or necessarily whether they were in the room, but just which channel they happened to have on. And from 7,000, we had to make a full guess as to how popular the programme was. With an app that's running up against the programme, you not only know the reaction of the audience immediately, but you also know who that audience is through their profile. And that can be extremely valuable to advertisers. You've got automation, although as we've already said, you need the human touch, but automation allows us to tally up what's pushed to the tablet or the phone at the same time as you see it on the screen, and we get that immediate feedback. And that could be used to change the plots of programs as well. So, for example, Downton Abbey, we may find that nobody is particularly interested in one of the characters, so we might want to kill him off. Okay, so those are a few examples of what the commercial sector has been busy doing, but what would a public sector broadcaster do with this technology? Yes, it can be sold. Yes, it's extremely lucrative to know your audience very well and how they react to it. But the BBC is looking at how they might go a stage further than using usual quizzes that are associated with programming, or polls, or a Twitter feed that's wrapped up in what you're watching. And for this, I'll need to pick up one of these. When you watch a normal television set, even if it's 42 inches, maybe it's 50 inches, the angle at which you see is approximately 30 degrees. That's probably about right for the distance that you're away. But what the BBC is looking into doing, and not exclusively, other broadcasters no doubt will also want to be doing this, is to give you a 360-degree approach so that you can have complete control over what you might like to see. So here, for example, we're interested in this model here. We can follow her rather than follow the camera. We can watch the road or the driver. We can watch the driveway. Or where we're going, the road. Okay, so we can also use this technology perhaps to take a look inside a cabin. This might be useful for travel programs or technology programs where you need a closer look. Don't miss anything. There's Big Ben, but oh, what's Ben found over there? He's found the London Eye. And we can use our helicopters, which we've started to use, drones. 2 days ago, BBC News started to use these drones for coverage of news. And not just use it for what the camera can just see ahead of it, but allow our audiences to explore. It democratises our coverage, as well as giving you what we'd like you to see. There's what we'd like to see. This is Blue Peter, one of the first examples from the BBC of a 360-degree production, and there is backstage, and the examples go on. And overlay that with information. That's a data feed, that's all that is. That's not a broadcast as such, that's a data feed. So we could have little symbols above people, or we could have little hanging examples of with information boxes or anything like that that could be overlaid if you want it. If you don't want it, it doesn't have to be overlaid. That's going to change broadcasters' production methods. So there is no backstage with 360-degree TV. The length of the shot changes because you guys are going to want to explore. You're not going to want cut, 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 cut. It's not MTV, right? So you want to have a quick look around and explore. So the direction of the production will start to change. And how we direct the viewer with the narrative has always been a bit of a challenge with 360. If you are in the 360, you're going one way and you're going the other. How do we know you're going to catch a key plot point? or a key event, you might be looking the wrong way. Now, in order to stop that happening, you offer 360 as a supplementary device, something that people can look down to and explore, but you're still able to direct them through the narrative through the first screen, that big one that they bought at the shop for £5,000 or however much 4K TV is nowadays. So the apps and the devices through the network offers a chance, a second chance, to show and tell our story in another way. And the BBC might use this in various ways. This is the 360 picture that you actually get when you stick it all together. Here is Antiques Roadshow. This is a programme that goes out on a Sunday, where people are encouraged to bring along something they found in the attic that might be worth something. And then viewers at the moment can interact directly with the programme by guessing how much they think it would work. But we could spin around an object and let people look at it more closely. Strictly Come Dancing, a very popular dancing programme competition on the BBC, also in several other countries outside of the UK, and we can allow viewers to follow a particular couple that they're interested in with a 360 camera in the room. That connectivity, those app habits, are affecting other arenas too, and I think that we can learn from how they deal with things. So Samsung, for example, has developed a system within some arenas where they can push the video of what you've just seen on stage to your mobile phone with some information of the concert that you've seen, because I'm sure there's a few people in this room who, if you're anything like me, can't stand people doing this at a concert. You just get a sea of screens and you can't see what's going on the stage. Lovely. Hopefully something like that might change that form of behaviour. But that's not the point. The point is that you get something that's professionally produced, pushed to your mobile phone that you can use and get involved with. Yes, people will want to make their own, that's key. Lots of people do. And we've already heard from KT, they've got a whole TV channel based around that. Where else could we see second screens? Well, would we want to see them in the cinema? That one area where one screen is really supposed to be enough. Earlier this year, a release called App, the movie, was released in Holland, and it uses a second screen throughout the movie for its audiences to take a look at. Basically, Anna, our lead here in the movie, gets an app called Iris on her mobile phone. Everything seems good. The app seems to tell her the answers to questions that she always wanted to know. And then it starts going a bit AWOL. It starts going a bit nasty. And the app starts sending out photos through on her phone, starts sending messages on her behalf that she perhaps wouldn't really want it to. And then one or two bad things happen, like murders, and the app seems to know about these murders and starts to share information about who may have been responsible. The audience get a chance, if they've got the app loaded, to look at texts that the characters send each other, to look at the notes that the detective may be using to try to work out who did it, and get unique camera angles from the characters that aren't available on the big screen. Here's a flavour of what this killer app can do. spoke to the director of that movie, a guy called Bobby Burnhams last month, and he said the interesting thing about making that movie was to make sure that the second screen, the iPhone or the tablet device that you might be using, didn't get in the way, it wasn't invasive to the movie. So there were a few things that he needed to consider in directing that movie, and that we need to consider if we're going to create content for people to consume with a second device that they're going to use over the network. The first was to alert people via vibration, as opposed to anything going off that might disturb people. So basically all audio on the phone was cancelled when you opened the app. He needed frame-accurate triggering. Now, every second of a movie has 24 frames within it, and so that needed to be frame-accurate. Now, he felt that the network was not able to deliver that, so he didn't use the network. The phone that you use, or the iPad that you use, uses its microphone to hear what's going on the movie, and then to deliver the content at the exact point at which it needs to come up on the phone. That may change. Interestingly, people, you and me, need 3 seconds to respond to a problem. So if something's going on the screen and we need to look at our phone, even though the phone may be ready for us, we're not ready for it. And we're certainly not ready to return to the first screen until around 5 or 6 seconds. So the director needed to make sure that there was nothing of crucial importance going on in the seconds immediately after the phone would prompt us to look at it. And the second screen needs to fade out and go into the background with something preferably quite major going on the first screen to bring us back towards it. So there wasn't this, should I be looking at this screen, should I be looking at that screen? Some people in the audience didn't have a mobile phone or an iPad, and that didn't seem to matter, but the director, Bobby, decided to have a bit of fun, and those people who did found out who killed the people in the movie at about a 65-minute point through the movie. And the people who didn't have a mobile phone found out about 80, 85 minutes through into the movie. And he found that caused a wonderful buzz in the cinema, which is normally deadly silent. But some people knew, and some people didn't know. And that was a different cultural experience. Was it a success? Hollywood is involved in making a remake of this, which will come out in the next 2 years. The rights have been sold to 12 countries, including Japan. Disney is now bringing it into theatres in the United States for children to watch its children's movies to get them more involved in the big screen content. So there's an opportunity for TV and filmmakers to enhance, explore, sell and directly involve audiences through the second screen, rather than doing something else with the second screen and it being a distraction.